Waziristan in 1808 to 1809. Excerpts from Mountstuart Elphinstone's book, An Account of the Kingdom of Kabul, and its dependencies in Persia, Tartary and India, Volume 2. Travel backwards in time and see Waziristan through Mountstuart Elphinstone's eyes. Dedicated to Waziristan and its people, the Wazirs and Masuds, the Germans of the East, the Teutons of Pakistan. Similarities between the primitive Germanic tribes, as described by the Roman historian Publius Cornelius Tacitus around 98 AD, and Waziristan tribes, as detailed by Mountstuart Elphinstone in years 1808 to 1809. Manners and habits of Waziris. The extensive country of the Waziris lies to the north of that of the Shirawnese and stretches up to the northward for 100 miles till it reaches Sufeid Koh, the low hills which separate the little country about Khost and Bunu have been mentioned as belonging to the Waziris, but from the parallel of Sirufsa to near the source of the Koorum, they share the mountains with the Jadrans, the latter having the west face of the range and the Waziris the east. The greater part of their country consists of mountains covered with pine forests, but containing some cleared and cultivated spots. The lower hills are bare, or only covered with bushes and low trees. The Waziri country is little visited except by passengers, who shun the inhabitants as much as they can, and I have found it impossible to meet with a Waziri out of his own country. The following account is derived from travellers. It is superficial and may be incorrect. The Waziris have no general government. They are in little societies, some under powerful khans, and others under a democracy. They are all remarkable for their peaceful conduct among themselves, and have neither wars between clans nor much private dissension. Though they are notorious plunderers, the smallest escort secures a traveller an hospitable reception through the whole tribe. They are particularly remarkable for their attacks on the caravans and migratory tribes to the west of the pass of Golare. No escorts are ever granted or applied for there. The caravan is well guarded and able to deter attacks or to fight its way all through. No quarter is given to men in these wars. It is said that the Waziris would even kill a male child that fell into their hands, but they never molest women, and if one of that sex wanders from her caravan, they treat her with kindness and send guides to escort her to her tribe. Even a man would meet with the same treatment if he could make his way into the house of a Waziri. The master would then be obliged to treat him with all the attention and goodwill which is due to a guest. The Waziris, who are fixed, live in small hamlets of thatched and terraced houses in some places, about Kanagoram, for example. They live in caves cut out of the rocks. Some of these rise above each other in 3 stories, and others are so high as easily to admit a camel. But most of the tribe live in black tents, or movable hovels of mats, or temporary straw huts. These go up to the high mountains in spring and stay there till the cold and snow drive them back to the low and warm hills. Their principal stock is goats. They also breed many small but serviceable horses, and what would not be expected in such a country, they are fond of horsemanship. The Waziris are said to be tall and muscular, of fair complexions and high features. Their whole dress is a high conical black cap, a loose great coat of black blanket, fastened round the waist with a girdle of the same material, and sandals of straw rope or untanned leather. From this attire, and from the descriptions which are given of their shaggy hair and beards, and their hairy limbs, their appearance may be conceived to be wild and terrible. Their arms are generally an Afghan knife and a shield, and every man carries a matchlock, at the use of which they are very expert. Their own country affords materials for these arms. It abounds in iron ore, which the Waziris work up into arms and export to the plains. Their manners are haughty and their voices loud, distinct and commanding, but they are gentle and good-tempered in their intercourse with their guests and with each other. Such is their veracity that if there is a dispute about a stray goat, and one party will say it is his, and confirms his assertion by stroking his beard, the other instantly gives it up without suspicion of fraud. Their amusements are listening to songs, for they never deign to sing themselves, and dancing a sort of Pyrrhic dance, in which they go through some warlike attitudes and leap about, flourishing their swords. The food of the Waziris is the flesh of sheep, oxen or camels, which they eat half raw with croute and unleavened bread of the worst description. The women are not required to labour. They wear a long, thick shift of red cotton with sandals like the men, and have as many gold and silver ornaments as their husbands can afford. A most extraordinary custom is said to prevail among them, which gives the women the choice of their husbands. If a woman is pleased with a man, she sends the drummer of the camp to pin a handkerchief on his cap with a pin, which she has used to fasten her hair. The drummer watches his opportunity and does this in public, naming the woman, and the man is immediately obliged to marry her if he can pay her price to her father. The Jadrons have the Waziris on the east, the Karotis and the country dependent on Ghuzni on the west, and the Georgis on the north. Their dress and manners are said to be like those of the Waziris. Towards the Korum, they cultivate some of the inferior sorts of grain, but towards the Karotis, they wander with their goats through the thick pine forests and are, as a Karoti observed of them, in appearance and habits of life, more like mountain bears than men. They are not an extensive tribe, and their country is never visited by travellers. They have wars with the Karotis and plunder travellers on the road from Kabul through Bungush near the pass of Paywar. I need scarce say that they are never to be met out of their hills. The countries along the western side of Takht Suleiman, which accompany those which I have been describing in their progress towards the north, do not call for any particular notice. To the north of the Hurapal is the country near the junction of the Gomul and Shobe, sometimes pastured on by wandering Korkas. North of it is Vune, a low plain situated on the hills that slope down to the valley of the Gomul. It is an open tract, inhabited by a small tribe called Dutanese, and much frequented in summer by shepherds of the Soliman Kale and Haroti tribes, some of the tribes dependent on the Idolat Kale, also drive up their flocks to Vorna in winter. North of Vorna is Orgloon, the country of the Furmules, and then a tract belonging to Karotis and other clans of Gilgis, of all which I shall hereafter have occasion to speak at large.